Quite a few of the biggest stars in sports entertainment have had run-ins with the law, from charges ranging from DUI to robbery to even attempted murder. These are some superstars who served time. A surefire UFC Hall of Famer, Cain Velasquez had highlight reel knockouts over the likes of Junior Dos Santos, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, Travis Browne, and even Brock Lesnar before entering the world of pro wrestling in 2019. First competing for AAA before joining WWE later that year, Velasquez came to the aid of Rey Mysterio in his feud against Lesnar on the 20th anniversary episode of SmackDown, breathing new life into their rivalry. Now carried over to a WWE ring from the Octagon. Velasquez and Lesnar would go on to have one match at the Crown Jewel 2019. An injury and the COVID-19 pandemic thwarted any future plans for Velasquez, and he was released in April 2020. In February 2022, Velasquez was accused of shooting at a man, Harry Ghilardi, who had been arrested and released on bond in connection with the alleged sexual abuse of one of Velasquez's children. The former UFC heavyweight champion was arrested and booked into the Santa Clara County Jail in California on a first-degree attempted murder charge, as well as several others. According to prosecutors, Velasquez chased after Ghilardi in a vehicle and fired a shot that didn't hit him, but hit his stepfather instead, causing non-life-threatening injuries. After 8 months in jail, Velasquez was released and placed under house arrest, though he was allowed to travel to Tempe, Arizona, returning to wrestling to participate in a AAA event. Velasquez is set to face trial in January 2024.
Now that Cain has entered a not guilty plea, the case against him can move forward.
A member of the famed Hart family, Teddy Hart, real name Edward Annis, inked a WWE developmental deal at the age of 18. But that head start didn't last long. Hart was soon released, allegedly due to attitude issues. He rejoined WWE on a developmental contract again, appearing for Ohio Valley Wrestling and then Florida Championship Wrestling, before being released again in late 2006. His laundry list of allegations, arrests, and legal troubles include sexual assault charges in 2014 in Canada that were dropped, DUI, evading arrest, auto theft in Texas in 2017 also eventually dropped, a 2020 charge in Virginia for possession of a controlled substance with the intent to sell or distribute, an arrest for violating the house arrest condition of his bail, charges of strangulation resulting in bodily harm, and in Florida in 2023, charges of possession of MDMA and possession of a controlled substance without a prescription.
I had to wait in jail and sit there, and it was it's a very boring, scary, lonely place.
An incident in which Hart was never implicated, however, probably drew the most public attention thanks to the Peacock docuseries Dangerous Breed: Crimes, Cons, Cats. Initially intended to be a reality story as Hart attempted to resurrect his career, filmmaker Frederick Croce followed Teddy through his day-to-day life. The series takes a sharp turn when Hart's girlfriend, Samantha Fiddler, disappears. Fiddler has been missing since November of 2016, and her case has since gone cold. MVP's story is one of true redemption. Alvin Burke Jr. spent time in a street gang as a teenager and served a 6-month sentence in a juvenile detention center for his part in a robbery. He then served 9.5 years of an 18-year sentence for armed robbery and kidnapping. In prison, Burke became a Muslim and adopted the name Hassan Assad. He came out of prison a different man, making a connection with primetime Daryl D., a corrections officer who also worked as an independent wrestler during a work release program. After being trained by Soulman Alex G. and Norman Smiley, Assad spent several years on the independent circuit before getting a developmental contract with WWE in 2005 and being assigned to Deep South Wrestling. His MVP character made its debut on a 2006 episode of SmackDown, and the rest is history. With 2 United States championships to his credit, a tag team championship alongside Matt Hardy, and a run as the figurehead of one of the most dominant factions in recent history, the Hurt Business. Beginning her wrestling career in 1992 alongside her boyfriend Chris Candido in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Tammy Sytch caught the eye of the World Wrestling Federation and debuted in 1994 as Tamara Murphy, a live event news commentator. Soon after, she would take on the persona of Sunny, the mouthpiece for the tag team The Body Donnas, which consisted of Candido as Skip and Tom Pritchard as Zip. Representing various wrestlers and tag teams over the years, Sunny would soar in popularity, even being named in 1996 as the most downloaded woman on AOL. After a hiatus during which she appeared with Candido in ECW on a handful of occasions, Sunny would return to the WWF in 1998 before rumors of backstage drama and drug abuse began to surface, leading to her release. She returned to ECW under her real name and was used regularly before being arrested for violating a restraining order and leaving the company in 1999. Sytch would then appear for WCW and various independent promotions and made sporadic appearances on WWE television, culminating in a Hall of Fame induction in 2011. From there, things seemed to spiral. Her latest arrest was on DUI manslaughter charges after a crash in Ormond Beach, Florida, which resulted in the death of a 75-year-old man. She entered a no-contest plea, and on November 27th, a judge handed down a 17-year prison sentence for Sytch. Real name Lawrence Full, Lex Luger is a two-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion. After a run in the WWF, his surprise return to WCW on the 1995 premiere of Nitro was a key moment in the burgeoning Monday Night Wars. In 2003, Luger encountered a series of legal problems, beginning with a domestic dispute with girlfriend Elizabeth Hulette, better known to wrestling fans as Miss Elizabeth. He was charged with battery and released on bond, but found himself back in trouble just 2 days later, arrested for DUI after allegedly rear-ending another vehicle. In May of that year, Hulette died of an overdose in the townhome she and Luger shared, and upon a search of the residence, Luger was arrested again on 13 felony counts of drug possession. Hulette's death was ruled an accident, but Luger pleaded guilty to the drug charges and was placed on probation for 5 years. Following a violation of the conditions of that probation after Luger, Scott Steiner, and Buff Bagwell were all removed from a flight to Canada, he was sentenced to 4 months in a Georgia jail. In the years since, Luger has become a born-again Christian and has stayed out of trouble.
I'm in a jail chaplain. That changed my life forever.
One of the most decorated tag team wrestlers in history, and no slouch as a singles act either, Matt Hardy's place in wrestling history was cemented long ago. His career has seen no shortage of reinventions and character changes across major promotions and the independent circuit. Matt, alongside his brother Jeff, rose to prominence as the Hardy Boys, drawing critical acclaim for their feud with Edge and Christian in 1999. Into 2000, those two teams, along with the Dudley Boys, would help revolutionize tag team wrestling in the first ever triangle ladder match at WrestleMania 2000. That match was a predecessor to a pair of still unmatched TLC matches at SummerSlam 2000 and WrestleMania X7. Hardy has found himself in legal hot water on more than one occasion. In 2011, he was arrested and charged with DUI, and then again days later on various drug possession charges following a raid of his home. In 2014, Hardy and wife Rebby Sky were both arrested at a Virginia motel following a domestic dispute. Both parties eventually dropped respective restraining orders against each other. In the years since, Hardy has reinvented himself time and again, now wrestling for AEW, and he and Sky have 4 children together. Like his older brother Matt, Jeff Hardy has found his share of trouble along the way. If this were a competition for run-ins with the law, the younger Hardy would have the slight edge. In September 2009, Hardy was arrested and charged with drug trafficking and controlled prescription medications, as well as possession of anabolic steroids following a raid of his house, ultimately costing him a reported $100,000 fine along with 30 months of probation and 10 days in jail. In July 2019, Hardy faced public intoxication charges, and then just 2 months later, he was arrested again, charged with DWI in North Carolina. In 2022, Hardy was arrested in Florida on felony DUI charges after blowing nearly 4 times the legal limit in a blood alcohol test. Hardy was suspended from AEW pending completion of alcohol rehabilitation. He returned to the company a few months after being credited for serving 38 days in jail. He was given 2 years probation and several other DUI-related sanctions. Hardy has always rebounded from his mishaps, but one has to hope this one will indeed be the last. Scott Hall's career encompassed both the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. He battled alcoholism and substance abuse for most of it. From the territories to the AWA, WCW, Tours of Japan, WWE, and so much more, Hall's impact in the ring is legendary. As a primary force in the original NWO, his arrival in WCW bolstered business immeasurably. Hall's brushes with the law began in 1983 when an altercation outside of a club in Orlando, Florida ended with a man dead. Hall was charged with second-degree murder, shooting a man with his own gun after wrestling it away from him. He claimed self-defense, and the charges were dropped due to lack of evidence, but it is well documented that the incident haunted Hall throughout his life. All the rest of Hall's legal troubles had to do with his drug and alcohol problems. Hall bounced back in a big way after getting sober with the help of Diamond Dallas Page in 2013. He was inducted twice into the WWE Hall of Fame, in 2014 as Razor Ramon and as part of the class of 2020 with the NWO. Hall died in March of 2022. Amid all of his career successes and personal struggles, the bad guy may best be remembered for a single line of the speech he gave during his first Hall of Fame induction, in which he said, "Hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last, but bad guys do." The wrestlers involved in the Bloodline storyline, as it has played out over the last 2+ years, have seen their stock greatly elevated. Jimmy Uso is no exception, but he, along with twin brother Jay, had already cemented his place in wrestling history thanks to a prolific run in the tag team division. The Usos are 8-time tag team champions and in the discussion for best WWE tag team of all time. Jimmy, whose real name is Jonathan Fatu, has put his career in peril a few times with 4 documented DUI-related arrests. On one occasion, in July of 2019, Fatu was found not guilty, but in other instances there were repercussions, including making it very difficult for both he and his brother to wrestle in Canada over the years, although he was there for 2023's eventful Elimination Chamber event. Hopefully, Fatu's troubles are behind him, and the positive momentum for the Bloodline saga can continue. After the deaths of both of his parents as a teenager, Booker T served a 19-month stint in jail for armed robbery. His autobiography is titled Booker T From Prison to Promise, and his 2 WWE Hall of Fame rings, one on his own and one with Harlem Heat along with his brother Stevie Ray, prove that title to be true. In 2017, Booker T, whose full name is Robert Booker T.O. Huffman, told ESPN that his first Hall of Fame induction was the greatest moment in his career. For me, going to the trenches, WCW, WWE, seeing it all, now being able to give back, becoming a Hall of Famer, thanking the fans for this long ride as well as my wife for being a big part of it, I think that's been my biggest and better achievement.
Hopefully, I'll be that beacon of light.
Kurt Angle lies in the pantheon of both the Squared Circle and in American amateur wrestling. Angle famously won the gold medal in the 1996 Olympic Games and is both a WWE and TNA Hall of Famer. But his accolades go much deeper. USA Wrestling named him the greatest shoot wrestler of all time. Unfortunately, the Olympic gold medalist and Hall of Famer has also faced charges for DUI and DWI several times over since 2007. In 2013, he committed to rehab and has been clean ever since. A lot of Angle's troubles can be attributed to not just alcohol, but painkiller addiction, stemming from his neck injuries, including several breaks and multiple surgeries. Winning an Olympic gold medal with a broken friggin' neck comes with collateral damage, and over the years, Angle went through the ringer with his neck problems. In recent media appearances, Angle has expressed pride in his commitment to sobriety, hoping to never let his demons get the better of him again. He has said he is devoted to helping others overcome their struggles as well. Few professional wrestlers reached the heights of fame in wrestling as Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin's run as the anti-hero opposite the evil boss in Mr. McMahon was something just about anyone could relate to, and his rise to superstardom remains the crowning achievement of the Attitude Era. But Austin, too, has had some issues with the law. He got married to former wrestling manager Deborah Marshall in 2000. 2 years later, police were called to their Texas home for a domestic dispute, and there was enough evidence once they arrived for Austin to be charged with misdemeanor assault. Ultimately, Austin pleaded no contest and was ultimately given a year of probation, a fine, and community service. The couple filed for divorce roughly a month after the incident, and their split was made final early the next year. Marshall never again appeared on WWE TV, but Austin has remained an iconic figure, hosting the Broken Skull sessions and most notably appearing on both nights of WrestleMania 38, defeating Kevin Owens in a no-holds-barred match on Night 1 and stunning Austin Theory, Vince McMahon, and Pat McAfee on Night 2.